Now that we've created the first floor of our structure or our building, we can actually follow the same steps to create the rest of our building. If you have a very symmetrical building, or a lot of the elements are same from floor to floor, then what I would recommend doing is actually going into one of these 3D views and copying your structure up. So let's go to a right view here, and you could do this in elevation as well, as long as everything else is pinned and everything else is hidden. But the easiest way to go about this here is to just select everything on the first floor, and even though it's pinned, what we can do is Control C, or we can copy to the clipboard, and then we can paste a line to selected levels. And I know that this was actually the structure of level 2, so I'm going to go to level 3. I could do multiple levels at once as well, but just to show you how to do this simply, we're going to go to level 3. And there's a few things that are going to pop up. It's telling me that, yeah, there's some overlapping elements, but overall this is pretty good. Now if I go to a right view here, I'm going to unselect, and I'm going to inclusively select all of the columns. And you can see there's a little bit of an error here. And the base level happens to be level 2 plenum. We need to change that to level 2, and we need to change the base offset to 0. And when we do that, you can see that we're very close to finishing this floor. If you have, from floor to floor, a very similar project, then, all I might have to do here is delete this floor and delete this beam system. And now a lot of these columns are taking a lot less tributary area, so what you might have to do is go into a level 3 structural plan. Let's turn on the section box here, and we essentially have our level 2 structural plan, but it doesn't have a lot of the detail elements. So what I recommend here is selecting these detail elements, using Control, and Shift selecting to deselect things. And again, I can Control C and paste align to selected views. And here we can paste this align to the structural plan level 3. And now when we go to the level 3 structural plan, you can see that these things have been pasted in, and I accidentally turned these on, so let's go ahead and turn these off. And now our level 2 and our level 3 structural plans are very similar. So let's go to level 4 here. Let's look at a different method to changing some of these elements or bringing them up to another story. I'm going to go to View, and we're going to make a plan view here, a structural plan of level 4. Hit OK, and this is level 4 here. I'm going to turn on my section box, my scope box. And I'm going to right click on level 4, and I'm going to apply the template properties of our structural plan custom. And that gets rid of the floor in this view. But what I can't see here is where all the columns are, which is kind of annoying. So what I would recommend doing is, if you're going to follow this method, type VR and change the bottom to the level below, and change the view depth to the level below as well. And what this will allow you to do is you can see all the way down to the floor below. We're going to have to change this later, but let's go to structure, and I'm going to make a column here, and let's go ahead and make a structural rectangular column. I'll edit this type to be a 10 by 10. And I want to place this at the center here. And you can see once that's placed, it's basically placed on top. And if I go into a 3D structural view, now you can see that that column is starting at the top of, that the depth goes from the level 4 to the structure below it. So that's one way you can recreate your structure as well, is by changing the view range after you create a new structural plan. Now there are certainly, you know, a bunch of other ways that you can do this. I think I've shown in other tutorial videos that you can take these columns, for instance, and you can change their top level to be the top floor, like the roof. And you can do this for multiple columns. For steel, it's especially common to have these sort of architectural continuity where the steel section goes all the way to the roof. But for for concrete, it's fairly typical to taper as the structure goes up. So that's why for concrete columns, you might have to break them. And if you go into your Modify tab, there is a split element option here. And you can do this for basically any element. You can split it into two elements of the same type that end at a certain level. So here I can edit this type now, again, to show you to be, I can even put a concrete on top of a steel column, but you wouldn't do that. But just to show you that you can change that element, and here you can actually change where it starts and where it ends as well, and you would probably have to change this as well. So that is a final option there, or you can just Control-C, Control-V elements to other floors. So if you know that you don't have sort of this back half of the building, you can choose some of these elements, Control-C, and then go to Paste, Align to Selected Levels, and Level 4, and that will place them to your fourth level. Whenever you're doing that, you might have to pay attention exactly to the start level offset, especially for your steel beams or your steel joists, depending on whether there's a floor on top of it or not, or if it's a roof. But those are just a few different methods that you can use to start repeating elements and bringing the rest of your structure, or modeling the rest of your structure.